I don't think I've done one of these in over 3 years. I've grown so much as a person and content creator. So let's run it back with my favorite Pokemon. Can I beat Pokemon Emerald with only one Misdreavus? Comment down below if you think I can win or not, or if you have any ideas for future runs. Here are the rules. I'm not allowed to use items in battle except for held items. I'm allowed to use emulator speed up for grinding. I can catch other Pokemon to use HMs, but obviously I can't use those in battle. I can use save states outside of Pokemon battles. No exploits, cheats, or sequence breaks. And of course, I must mention Misdreavus here, as he's the one who got me into Pokemon challenges to begin with. But I hope I bring enough of me to the table that I don't feel like a ripoff of him. Now let's look at the star of our show, Misdreavus. They aren't the worst Pokemon in the world, though they definitely aren't good. With 60 in HP, attack, and defense, with only a minor improvement of 85 in special attack, special defense, and speed. That doesn't sound that bad until you remember that in Gen 3, physical and special moves still have it split, meaning all ghost moves are classified as physical. And looking at our level up move list leaves a lot to be desired, as we only get 3 damaging attack moves. We start with Psywave, which is an RNG fest nightmare, with only 80% accuracy. Other than that, we get Astonish at level 11, which is a laughably weak ghost move that does have a reasonable chance to flinch. And finally, we get at level 30, Psybeam, which is just worse Psychic. Here's hoping we can get some decent mileage out of Confuse Ray. I'll be going over TMs as they become relevant in the run. Either way, we set off in the way every kid loves, in the back of a moving van, possibly being operated by Anthro Sloths. After we get to our new house, we set our clock, meet our neighbor, and set off to save the local professor from a raccoon attack. We steal his ghost to replace Trico and proceed to miss our first 2 Psywaves, which bodes very well for the rest of the run. He thanks us by giving us the cute sprite, which we name Mitsune. Comment down below if you get that reference. After that, he sends us to chase down his, I think, nephew Brendan, who ran off into the great unknown. He's luckily just at the top of the route, playing in some extremely dangerous tall grass, so of course, I decide to teach him a lesson. So I challenge him and start spamming Psywave in what amounts to be a pretty comically long fight. He has no means to actually hit us since we're immune to normal fighting and ground, but we're also stuck using, Psywave, which is a cartoonishly bad move. After that, we get our running shoes and set off, and explore Oldale before we meet our very first brick wall. Youngster Calvin is our first mandatory non-rival trainer battle. He has a single level 5 Poochyena, which is dark type that only knows Tackle and Howl, while we have a Misdreavus who only knows Psywave, Growl, and Spite. Do you see the issue? We have no means of harming each other, so after a 6-minute long 3x speed battle, we end up losing the struggle match. Luckily, there is an easy solution, if not a long one. I go south of Oldale and use a Poochyena and a Wurple to waste all of my PP before I re-attempt the Calvin fight. And we absolutely blaze past him with only 2 struggles. I opt out of healing Misdreavus at the Pokemon Center for a while. Comment down below if you can guess why I'm doing this. Because, as MDB says, comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. After a few battles, we reach Petalburg, talk to our father, and watch as a sickly child catches Ralts before heading forward to the forest. And this is where we meet yet another mandatory fight with a single Poochyena. Luckily, I didn't refresh my PP at the Pokemon Center, so it's an easy struggle sweep. Did you know there are no mandatory trainer battles on the route after the forest? The 2 single trainers are easy to dodge, and the double battle will let you pass if you have a single Pokemon. Which is weird, because they have a system for a single Pokemon to participate in a double battle, because literally almost every double battle ends in a 2v1. Maybe they just thought it'd be unfair for the player? Though I'm not judging, I'm pretty happy with it. Off to Roxanne. With Psywave, I feel pretty safe to just keep spamming it, even though we picked up Astonish at level 11. Since Astonish is only base power 30, and is physical in Gen 3, like all ghost type moves. Thus, it uses our abysmal 60 attack stat. Even with Stab, it's basically useless against any Pokemon with a high defense. Our first attempt has ended pretty quickly as we get hit by 1 Rock Tomb from our first Geodude, and we only land 1 Psywave in the time it takes her to land 1 Rock Tomb and 1 Rock Throw, ending the run. In our second attempt, we are saved when her second Geodude misses 4 Rock Tombs, allowing us to make it to her ace, Nose Pass. Now, Nose Pass should be an issue for me, but instead of spamming Rock Tombs, which could easily KO me, she opens with Block, which prevents me from switching out and just spams Defense Curl. Sadly, we failed to capitalize on this due to our excessive missing in earlier rounds, leaving us with so few Psywaves. But I bet if we can get back here and she chooses to do the same thing, we could win. On our 8th attempt, we get back to our nose pass with half health and 8 Psy Waves. I start by spamming Growl as she uses Defense Curls, which effectively neuters all physical moves in this match. And this really only benefits me as I eat 3 Rock Tombs, live, and manage to clutch it out with Psy Wave. Gotta say, I'm pretty happy to have beaten the first gym while still being on level. I doubt that'll last too much longer though. After we beat the gym, we come across the scene of a robbery, and of course the Mega Corp's employee does the most reasonable thing available to him and conscripts a 10-year-old to help him track down a thug. We find the thug having stolen both the Devon goods and a small bird. An odd choice, but surely not story relevant. I get my catharsis by bodying a Poochyena with Astonish. No more struggling for me. I return to the Devon goods and take the old man up on his offer to give me a ride to a secluded island in the middle of the ocean. On the way, our dad decides to randomly pause time to give us a phone call to congratulate us on helping out Jeffrey Bezos. Next up, Broly. I wish I could give some long explanation to pad for time, but I really can't. Broly has no physical means to hurt me, so I just spam Astonish and take out his entire team with a level 17 Misdreavus. It genuinely only took me 15 minutes from beating Roxanne to beat Broly. And now we go through a strange cage to meet a stranger who tells us to meet a stranger in Slateport, so we ask our friendly neighborhood stranger to give us a ride on his boat. Once we arrive in Slateport, we bust into a museum, beat the crap out of 2 punks who literally stood 0 chance, only for their boss Archie to show up. The guy whose Pokemon could mincemeat me chastises his men for being intimidated by a 10-year-old, and then leaves without getting the captain his gang was actively holding up a museum to acquire. Truly, the image of competence. We talk to the stranger we just saved who tells us to go to Mallville, but before we go downstairs and find the lone goon, who gives us our first effective special damaging move, Thief. We run through Route 10 to go have what is technically our 3rd rival battle. I forgot to mention we fought our rival in those 15 minutes it took us from wrecking Roxanne to beating Broly. He leads with Wingull, who's taken out by 2 thieves, and then into Lombre, who opts to use a bunch of normal moves, which result in me taking him out easily, only taking a single Astonish in retaliation. Lastly is Combustion, who I confuse and then spam with Astonish, taking him down while only taking a single Ember. Overall, a pretty easy fight given our current Pokemon. We send Wally the God outside the Mallville gym before going in to challenge Watson. Watson's pretty infamous for being a wall in these runs unless you have a fire type move, as Magneton is level 2. Being Steel is already bad enough, but he's also set to spam you with Thunder Wave if you aren't already paralyzed, including if you manage to heal it off. So at level 25 we attempt Watson. I spam Astonish into Voltorb, flinching him out of the match entirely, only eating 1 shock. Electrike then comes out and paralyzes me, dooming the run against Magneton, going down to only 2 shockwaves. Run 2 goes about exactly the same, except by using Thief I'm able to get Watson to waste a super potion on Electrike and I don't get paralyzed. Despite being confused, as Magneton manages to paralyze me on round 2, dooming me to be outsped by Manectric and 1-shot by Shockwave. I'm gonna need to level. I go off and clear off all the trainers in the nearest route. My thinking is that with Paralysis on the board, it's far too risky to rely on Psywave, despite its ability to circumvent Magneton's Steel typing. So I train up to level 30 and replace Psywave with Psybeam. Attempt 1 at level 30 looks very promising. We crit Voltorb with Psywave, taking it out. Electrike is taken to red health using 1 Psybeam, forcing Watson to heal, queuing 2 more Psybeams up, and he is down and out. I try Psybeam on Magneton and it does basically nothing, so he instantly paralyzes me, dooming the run. After a few more attempts, I equipped the Cherry Berry to negate the first instance of paralysis. And I have amazing luck with Confusion and Astonish, but despite that, Watson heals Magneton back up and I'm immediately paralyzed once again, dooming the run yet again. I attempt to fight 5 more times to no avail, so I decide I need to level yet again. So I set out to grind to level 35, figuring it would be enough to one-shot Electrike. At level 35, I attempt again. Voltorb is nearly one-shot, which prompted Watson to waste a super potion, only to get crit. Electrike is one-shot, just like I predicted. Now I confuse Magneton and start spamming Astonish until he gets low, so I use a Psybeam, nearly knocking him out. So he uses another potion, and I start spamming Psybeam. I get out of Magneton with half health and paralysis. And thanks to our relatively high special defense, we're able to tank through Manectric's shockwaves and take it out. We are left at only 13 HP by the end of the battle. I happily take our winnings and replace Astonish with Shockwave to give us water and flying coverage. If I sound different, sorry about that. I've updated my audio equipment and I had to take a month break thanks to Claire Obscure dropping and college. Either way, back to the video. After Watson, we set off, I help a nerd find his glasses, in return we get the Dark Glasses, which boosts Dark moves by 10%. Sadly, Hell items don't buff moves by 20% until Gen 4. Let me know if you'd be interested in me doing Gen 4 challenges as a follow-up to this. I've been workshopping trying out Spoink for no reason in particular. But either way, the Dark Glasses will be a worthy investment since it will give us a bit of a buff for Thief instead of just using it for a secondary effect. We also pick up Secret Power, which is normally a staple in these kinds of runs, but I don't see us using it thanks to our poor attack stat and the fact that we already have excellent coverage. We head to Meteor Falls after sprinting through Fall Arbor. I'm actually shocked by something. I could have sworn you had to fight some goons here, but Team Aqua just shows up and scares away Team Magma. Is it different in Ruby and Sapphire, or am I just losing it? You know what? I'll leave that question for my therapist. Anyway, we talk to the scientists and entirely miss out on the hint about going back to Mount Chimney. Instead, I end up running all the way back to Norman's gym, and our dad tells us to come back when I'm stronger. Dude, I'll be back in 6 levels, watch me. Either way, we return to Mount Chimney and absolutely sweep Maxine. Genuinely, the guy wasn't even a bump in the road. Sorry. Next up, Flannery, the fire gym leader whose primary gimmick is Sunny Day Overheat, which is genuinely terrifying, but luckily we do have respectable bulk. At some point, for reasons beyond even my comprehension, I switch out Confuse Ray for Pain Split. If I had to think back on it, I'm pretty sure I thought it'd be useful against Wallace's Whale Lord, but we already have Shockwave for water coverage, so I'm not sure what I was looking to gain there. I navigate the gym like an absolute idiot, so we need to heal before starting the fight. I'm level 42, let's hope I can do this. Nummel does practically nothing to me and it nearly goes down to a single Psybeam. 1 potion and 2 Psybeams later and we beat Nummel. Slugma is one shot by Psybeam, and Camerupt goes down to 5 Psybeams, but not before hitting us with 2 big overheats and setting up Sunny Day for Torkoal, effectively dooming the run. Or at least that's what I would be saying. Instead, Torkoal takes pity on me and misses 2 overheats in a row, which allows me to take him down. Well, Norman, here we come. And just like that, we absolutely decimate Norman. It wasn't even a challenge. Norman was such a joke, in fact, that we were put to sleep 2 times against his most dangerous Pokemon, Slaking, and we were still able to beat him in a singular attempt. The most important thing that happened in the 8-minute split between defeating Flannery and defeating Norman was the fact that I caught a Meryl that we're going to be using for HMs. Good news though, after defeating Norman, you're allowed to use the Surf HM, which opens up one very tantalizing opportunity for us. We return to our best friend, Watson, and he gives us the basement key and sends us into New Mauville to shut off the generator. This is a speed bump most players will ignore, however it is crucial for our run because it gives us access to the Thunderbolt TM. Thunderbolt is a 90 power, 100% accurate electric move, aka a direct upgrade to Shockwave. With our Bug Zapper primed, we set off to go fight Winona, is what I would be saying. However, I accidentally pressed the F1 key while fighting this trainer, losing all of my progress in New Mauville. So instead, I'm going to skip Thunderbolt and we're just going to go after Winona. On the way to Winona, we pick up Castform and run into our rival, who we proceed to rinse so hard he might as well be the mascot for the next Power Wash simulator. And continuing the theme of Watson being the only menace in this entire run, we turn Winona into paste, losing in total 22 HP. I'm seriously running out of runs that I think will be a credible threat here. I know what we need to do. Alright, we're going to go after Maxine in the Magma Hideout. At this point, Maxine is powerful enough that he thinks he can take on Groudon if it comes down to it. And he is colorblind enough to think that the blue orb goes with the red Pokemon. Competence. And Maxine with an absolute sweep. Great. Maybe Moss Deep will be a challenge later? I go out and catch a Magikarp, which ends up being level 10 by the time we get to Tate and Liza. I decided to catch a Magikarp because Tate and Liza is a mandatory double battle. And luckily Magikarp has the absolutely useless move Splash, which ensures that we have 0 help from our partner Pokemon in this mandatory double battle. And I missed it while reviewing the recordings, but we did in fact go back to New Mauville to pick up Thunderbolt. Tate and Liza open up with Xatu and Claydol. Misdreavus goes first, uses Thunderbolt, and immediately takes out the Xatu. Claydol retaliates with Earthquake. But luckily, thanks to Levitate, Misdreavus is not hit and Magikarp is knocked out. They send out UndellaTown, who's immediately taken out by a Shadow Ball. And that's when I learned that Tate and Liza function as a singular trainer doing a double battle, not two separate trainers, as they send out Solrock in UndellaTown's place. Solrock and Claydol are both taken out by their own respective Shadow Balls. In the end, Tate and Liza were able to reduce Misdreavus to 66% of its total HP. Honestly, one of the best showings we've had from a trainer battle in a while. And to nobody's surprise, after Tate and Liza, there's nothing but smooth sailing up to Gym 8. I absolutely decimate the Magma who are at Moss Deep. And we chase down Archie, who is colorblind, much like his gay boyfriend Maxine. Happy Pride, by the way, if this comes out in time. Please, God, let this come out in time. And to nobody's surprise, using the red orb on the blue whale absolutely sends him into a tizzy. I'm sent to Sky Pillar to talk to an AO3 rider, whose favorite ship is about to break up. Rayquaza comes down like the mighty hand of God and slaps both these titans back into place. And now that I successfully averted the apocalypse, I get to go fight somebody in the local Planet Fitness. We take absolutely zero damage and just thunderbolt sweep our way all the way through Huan. Alright, I guess we're off to Victory Road. And for the first time in a very long time, we have an actually difficult trainer battle. And you'll never guess why. Wally opens up with Altaria, who wastes their only turn alive using Dragon Dance and goes down to 2 Shadow Balls. He then sends out Delcatty, who's taken down by a singular Thunderbolt. Next up is Ralts, who goes down to a singular Psybeam. He then sends up Magneton, who we hit with a Shadow Ball, doing about a quarter of his health before he hits us with Supersonic. We miss 2 times in a row, allowing him to Thunderbolt us both times. And after an exchange of 2 Shadow Balls for 1 Thunderbolt, we end the fight with 31 HP. He then sends out his Gardevoir, who goes down to a singular Shadow Ball. Man, I hate Magneton. Sorry for the random mic change yet again, I was running into technical issues with the one I was using. Either way, off to the Elite Four, and the first Elite Four member is Sydney, the Dark-type trainer. Sydney opens up with Mightyena. Mightyena is able to get off 2 sand attacks and a full restore while we knock him down with Thunderbolt. And like that, I had to change audio devices yet again, so once again, sorry for the change in audio quality. My Go XLR is just giving me a headache. Sydney then sends out Cacturn. Cacturn hits us with Leech Life and 2 Cotton Spores, effectively doing the run. After a few more attempts at Sydney, I replace Pain Split, the useless move I picked up earlier, with Calm Mind, a move that increases my special attack and special defense by 1 stage. I open by using Calm Mind, he opens by hitting me with a Sand Attack. Due to me outspeeding him, I'm able to take him out with a singular Thunderbolt on the next turn. We're able to take out Cacturn with only 2 Thunderbolts, and he only hits us back with 1 weak Feint Attack. Next up is Shiftry, who gives us an absolute headache as he hits us with a very early Swagger and Double Team, meaning our chances to hit him were very little. By the end of it, we exit the Shiftry fight with 36 HP left, and luckily both Crawdad and Absol go down to a singular Thunderbolt, netting us a win against Broly. We use a full restore and head off to go fight Phoebe. And sadly, Phoebe is not much of a stronger story. Phoebe gets knocked out very easily by 1 Calm Mind and a bunch of Shadow Balls. They suffer from the fact that Ghost type is super effective against Ghost, which is a choice by the Pokemon Company. And Glacia is about the exact same story, as I set up 3 Calm Minds at the beginning of the fight and proceed to power down her entire team by just spamming Thunderbolt. I lose about 5 runs to Drake before I get this run. All my lost runs were due to like flinching, paralysis, and other things, so I equip a Pecha Berry and send in our poor little Misdreavus. Turn 1, Shelgon uses Protect, and our Misdreavus uses Calm Mind. Turn 2, we outspeed and knock it out with Psychic. Next up, Flygon. Flygon uses Crunch, knocking us down a little bit. We use Psychic, sending it into Heal Rage, forcing Drake to heal it 1 more time, while we just hit it twice more with Psychic, knocking it out. Salamence gets hit by a Psychic, sending it down into Berry range. It eats a Citrus Berry, sending it out of healing range, allowing us to knock it out on the next turn with yet another Psychic. Altaria comes out, we hit it with Thunderbolt, nearly taking it out, but it replies with Dragon Dance, allowing us to hit it with yet another Thunderbolt, taking it out. Lastly is Kingdra, who does its best Altaria impression by eating a Thunderbolt, doing a Dragon Dance, eating another Thunderbolt, and going down. Our first attempt on Wallace looks promising as we set up Calm Mind, are able to one-shot Wailord with Thunderbolt, taking no damage on his first Pokemon. I made a fatal error against Tentacool, setting up another Calm Mind, which he returns the favor with Toxic, which ends up doing the run, as Ludicolo is not that big of a threat. However, Wishcash sets up Amnesia, and the next turn he uses a full restore, forcing us to eat all those Toxic turns, killing us. The next attempt, I start out by proccing 4 Calm Minds, as our Misdreavus eats 2 Blizzards and a Water Spout from his Wailord, leaving it at 106 HP, but with enough strength to outspeed and one-shot the entirety of Wallace's team, winning us the run. That was a lot of fun, although it did take me ages to end up recording, but this is kind of off the cuff, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, all those things help me with the YouTube algorithm if you want to. But just getting this far means a lot to me. If you guys enjoyed the content, feel free to comment other runs you'd like me to do below. And, I don't know, say something nice to each other. Y'all deserve it. Bye.